Hello and welcome to Analysis. I am Oyi Adekunle. Now, child marriage is one of the biggest challenges confronting children in Africa. According to the United Nations International Children's Education Fund, UNICEF, about 12 million girls marry each year. Unfortunately, despite the fact that child marriage is illegal in Nigeria, it is still prevalent, particularly the country's northern region. At 22 million, Nigeria has the highest number of child brides in West and Central Africa, and it is believed that the figures will keep soaring if adequate steps are not taken to combat these challenges. But joining me now to give us a broader perspective on how critical the issue is joining me now from Kano via Skype is Hope Oduma, who is the Advocacy Campaign and Policy Manager of Save the Children International. Hope, thank you very much for joining me on the program. Now, how serious is this issue of child marriage and child labor in Nigeria?
From my perspective, it's actually more serious than is reported, especially around the northeast and northwestern part of the country. So it's actually a very serious issue. We still have pockets of it in different regions within the country. However, I think it's more predominant in those areas. And if you look at the indicators, you find out that the states that have higher percentages of early marriage are also the states that have the rate of education at a lower level. So they go hand in hand basically, and that is why it's a serious issue. Apart from early marriage, stopping kids from being in school for as long as they need to be, at least till they complete their secondary education, it also has a lot of health challenges that it poses to the girls that are, would I say, victims of early marriage. So it's actually deeper than what we think or what we see in our news reports. And also, the problem is that for an uneducated mother, there's always a likelihood that they're going to have children that will also be uneducated. So the chain continues for generations upon generations. So that is part of what we are trying to stop as an organization, working with, of course, partners, working with government as well, working with traditional religious leaders, because it is a bigger problem than what one organization can claim to actually solve. There's so much that needs to be done, a lot of behavioral change communication that needs to come into place for us to end child marriage, basically.
And we understand that some of the gains your organization have made with the children in Northeast have been eroded with the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, tell us more about this and how challenging it is for you as an organization.
Yeah, but I think for us, it's not just in the Northeast because, of course, we have programs in the Northwest as well that are targeting ending child marriage. So for all the project sites or all the states where we've worked, not just now, but over the years where we've advocated for girls to be enrolled back in school, where we've had projects that actually identify the girls and put them back into school as well. The problem that COVID has brought on board is that education system was hugely affected by this. Now, the implication of this is that those children that we've already been able to convince to go back to school were left in the house for a period of time. And when someone is idle, of course, they have to find a way to fill that gap. So the implication is that they will decide, okay, there's no school, so let's go back to, be married, basically. And we are not in a position to stop some of these things from happening because in as much as those in the urban areas were able to do like things like Zoom classes, some online learning, those in the rural areas did not have the same privileges, and therefore there was no way of reaching out to the most deprived kids in the rural areas. So the implication of this is that a lot of the gains that were already recorded unfortunately will be eroded because those that went back to school due to the pandemic will now drop out of school, and for those whose parents were supporting their education through very little means of livelihood, some petty trading and things like that. We all know that businesses were seriously affected. Small businesses were affected by the coronavirus due to the lockdown that came as a result of controlling the spread. So the implication again is that, for such kids, their parents are even struggling to put 3 square meals on the table. So how would they pay for education of those children to continue? So from my perspective, I think those are some of the major effects the COVID-19 pandemic has had on our education system all around, not just the North and East.
And lastly now, Hope, what is your advice for the government so that, or on efforts that can be taken or steps, measures to ensure that we really do stop child marriage in Nigeria?
For me, the main solution I would still bring to the table of government is education of the child. I mean, that's basically what government needs to do because when you educate the kids, you empower them, and therefore the child starts to think about marriage way after they finish school. So education is the best way for us to go around it, both to address child marriage and also address child labor. Another thing I think the government needs to start looking at is the review of the UBA Act. At this moment, we know it ends at the point of JSS 3. And when you look at the time when most girls drop out of school to get married, is immediately after their junior secondary school. So if we extend the UBE Act to cover senior secondary school, that keeps the girls in school longer. So by the time they are done, hopefully they are close to being 18. So even if they have to get married at that point, they are no longer getting married as innocent children. So that is what I'll ask government to do now. Make sure that policies around protecting the rights of the children are also enforced at every level, from the national to state, local government levels. Ensure that those policies are being enforced because we do have policies as a country. So that is what I ask government to do at this point.
Well, Hope Oduma there of Save Nigeria International, thank you very much for speaking to us on Analysis. Thank you very much for your time and well done. Well, with that, we call it a wrap on this episode of Analysis. I am Oyi Adekunle, thanking you for watching. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.